Vikings at Jaguars.
Love the Vikings. Trevor Lawrence won't play. It's going to be Mac Jones. The entire offense, 6 different starters for the Jags on offense are banged up. Vikings only losses to the Rams when they got healthy and the Lions. They're a fast starting team, so Minnesota on the road takes the lead. They're actually the best first quarter team in the league. They'll quiet the crowd, what there is of one. Offense, number 2 in the NFL in Minnesota in big plays, and Sam Darnold's hot. 7 of his 8 starts, 100-plus passer rating, tied for the best in the NFL. The Jaguars' defense is awful. It is terrible. They're a slow-starting team. The defense is 30th or worse in almost every unit. Listen to this. They allow 6 yards of play. That is unheard of. A fast-starting Minnesota Vikings offense, a quarterback and coaching advantage, Mac Jones against Darnold. I'm going to lay the 7 points. Vikings win by 10, 33-23.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if you see anything short of just absolute domination by the Minnesota Vikings, like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, right? Because, the Vikings, this should be just pure domination, honestly. It would be one of those games that if you didn't think that the Vikings were going to put on such a show, both offensively and defensively, you could, skip, right? If you were just, a very more, meat and potatoes, win-losses guy, this would be a game that you could be like, I don't really need to watch this game, right? Because it's not going to be that competitive. But it's one of those things where you're like, I think Sam Darnold and this team, right, they could really just put on a light show, right? Both offensively and defensively, especially against Mac Jones. Mac Jones should be looking so uncomfortable. Just drive after drive after drive, right? They're going to just be what they'll be talking about throughout the broadcast is what has gone wrong for Mac Jones throughout his career, right? How did he get drafted to the Patriots, have that Pro Bowl year, and then only now look like this, right? And they're just it's a tough day for Mac Jones. I just, how could it not be? How could this defense has made significantly better offenses and quarterbacks and coaches, for that matter, look downright silly, look like that they've never played football before. And so now you're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, who look that way with Trevor Lawrence. How could the Minnesota Vikings, and it's tough. I try not to ever guess points. I know Colin has it 33-23, which is, obviously a healthy win. And football, in the NFL, by design, you always kind of get these closer scores just because of just how games unfold and the various philosophies with, again, prevent defense, running the ball. It's just all the various stuff that happens. That's why so many games, even when you are clearly dominant or the better team, it could still be this team only won by a touchdown or 10 points or whatever. But then occasionally, obviously, you have those big games where it's just a team hangs 50 points, 45 points, whatever the number is. And I just think the Vikings have potential to do this is through the roof, from my viewpoint. I just to have one of those big, insane games like the Lions versus the Cowboys, right? The Saints versus the Cowboys. We could just use the Cowboys as an example for that. And it's not like you have to be able to roll a team and dominate a team to prove how dominant you are. I just think someone like Kevin O'Connell is just salivating at a game plan like this. You can see what the Eagles did. The Eagles should have rolled the Jags. They pretty much dominated that game. It was their own fault why that game wasn't pretty much the type of game that I'm talking about. And, again, I think the Minnesota Vikings are a top team in the NFL. So this is definitely a game that I definitely really also want to watch even live, just because I think it's going to have so many moments that you're just going to laugh at, right? That you're just going to laugh and be like, that was crazy. Oh my God. Did they just go 70 yards in 2 minutes? And Sam Darnold just made that throw to Justin Jefferson. My goodness. Is that the 4th sack in this quarter against Mac Jones, right? I just think it's going to have some of those moments that you're just genuinely laughing at, that you're just this is ridiculous. And in truth, for Minnesota Vikings fans, I don't think there's going to be a ton of takeaways from this game, right? It's not going to prove how great you are or how dominant or this, because it's just how little respect, unfortunately, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? I just think they are an absolute mess. Their run defense is pretty decent, right? Before playing the Eagles, they were like 9th best, right? Giving up on average like 111 yards, I think, so pretty good. But that's obviously not what makes the Minnesota Vikings special. And again, now that you don't have Trevor Lawrence there and you have Mac Jones, this offense should look very disconnected. There should be extra possessions for the Minnesota Vikings, short field position. What it really will come down to, honestly, I guess, is how much do the Minnesota Vikings want to attack and run up the score, right? Are they going to want to put on a show, or are they going to get the lead? It's going to be pretty easy, 21-3 or something, and then they're just going to play simple, basic football, hand the ball off, milk the clock. Or are they just going to be like, nope, we are cruising, right? We want to get everyone involved. Let's go. Let's attack. Let's do some plays. Because we know the Lions want to put on a show, right? We saw that very clearly, especially against the Cowboys, right? They did multiple trick plays, right? Like they wanted to score as many points as they possibly could, right? I don't know if the Minnesota Vikings necessarily have that culture or that energy. They're definitely more all about the business, right? It's just getting the win more than anything and avoiding the loss. They're a little bit more conservative, and I use that term very general. That's not to say that they don't have an explosive offense and they're not great. I've been praising the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold for that matter, and Kevin O'Connell every single week. So it's just a matter of like, what type of show are you trying to put on? So yeah, it's just hard for me to imagine that this game doesn't erupt into just wild moments, where if you're like a casual fan, you're probably like, okay, what other game is on? This game's out of control. But I like to, again, if it's a team that I have high hopes for, like I do with the Minnesota Vikings, it's one of those games that I want to watch because I want to see just how great of some of the things that they can do, and just like even Colin's prediction of 33-23, it just feels low to me. And again, I'm no expert on trying to predict scores. Like, I think that's always cartoonish when people are like, the Minnesota Vikings are going to win 21-19. And it's just like, where are you coming up with these scores right now? Like, what are we basing this off of? And it is always such a guess. But I just have to imagine that we're going to watch this game and you're going to be like, the Minnesota Vikings look like they are absolute animals right now. And quite frankly, I'd be disappointed if it's not like that at this point, because I just boosted it up so much. I would genuinely be disappointed if we don't get a light show from the Minnesota Vikings. I would at this point, because it just has to happen. How can it not? Everybody looks absolutely amazing, even bad teams, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now the Minnesota Vikings, a great team, should look even more amazing. It's that simple. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings beating the Jacksonville Jaguars? Do you think this will be a blowout? Do you think it'll actually be a little bit closer, as Colin's, essentially implying, by a 10-point game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.